In Unit 6, we talk about congruent triangles, and the first thing we need to do is make sure your notes booklet is in order. So if you need to pause the video and get your notes booklet and make sure that it's all correct, please do so now. The unit objective is to prove triangles congruent and to name their corresponding parts. And the idea here is based upon congruence. Congruent means same size, same shape. So we're going to have triangles that are the same size and the same shape. These two triangles, for example, are the same shape, but they're not the same size. Congruent triangles are the same shape and the same size, even if one of them is turned over differently. And then we need, of course, to name their corresponding parts. Looking at page 2 of the notes, starts in topic 6.1. When two triangles are congruent, again, that word means same size and same shape, they will have exactly the same three sides and the same three angles. So we can look at corresponding parts of congruent triangles. And as it turns out, corresponding parts of congruent triangles are congruent. Sometimes, because that can be quite a mouthful, we'll abbreviate it CPCTC. Corresponding parts of congruent triangles are congruent. Now, if I look at these triangles that are listed here, angle A has one mark in it, and that corresponds with this other triangle's angle D. So we want to write the letters in the same relative order. So if A matches with D, D needs to be the first letter. B has two marks. It is congruent to E. And F has three marks, congruent to C, which also has three marks. The order of those letters is critically important. This sentence right here, mathematical sentence, is read, triangle ABC is congruent to triangle DEF. And we can see, of course, the sides that are marked over here with these hatch marks like that, this one, and this third side that matches up to this third side. So let's look at triangle KPM that's congruent to triangle AYC. And the first thing I want to do before I look at all the parts is follow the letter pattern and mark the angles. So angle K matches up with angle A. And angle P matches up with angle Y. And finally, angle M matches up with angle C. And so I can look at the angles to begin with. So I'll skip the first couple, and I see that angle Y, so I'm doing this one right here, angle Y, the middle letter, matches up with the middle letter on the other triangle. And angle K, the first letter on the first triangle, matches up with angle A, the first letter on the second triangle. Angle ACY, if I look at this triangle, ACY, that one right there, we'd usually call that angle C. That matches up with angle M. Angle M, and I could write the letters in exactly the same way, ACY, ACY goes with KMP. Just keep the letters in the same order. Follow that letter pattern right there. And so now let's look at the sides. The sides work the same way. So KM, that's the first letter, and the third letter goes with side AC. So let's mark them. KM goes with AC. CY, that's the third and second letter in the other triangle. CY between the 2 and the 3 mark goes with MP. Now, really, it doesn't matter if you write MP or PM. It's the same side, but I like to try to keep the letters in the same order because that's a good, consistent idea. Finally, we've got PK. PK, which goes with YA. And put these little lines above it so that we know that it's a line segment. So now we're looking at these two triangles, and we just want to rearrange the letters. MPK goes with triangle CYA. You've got to keep the letters in the relative same order. So the next one says triangle YAC. That goes with PKM. PKM. So you can kind of double check and see, for example, that we know from looking up here, the K and the A go together. So I've got the K and the A going together, or the K and the A going together. It's got to be that way for corresponding parts of congruent triangles to be congruent. So now let's look at this. We've got STW being congruent to triangle BFN. It says find the missing measures. So let's first identify all the parts. It says that ST matches up with BF. So ST matches up with BF. And this part says TW matches up with FN. So TW matches up with FN. And then finally I could double check it, but SW matches up with BN. So looking first at the sides, I see BN, that's this side right here, needs to match up with that thing. It's got 3 marks on it. That's this side here. This is 9. Notice it said find the measures. It doesn't have the little mark up there above it, so I'm not thinking about specifically the segment, but rather how long that segment is. Letter B, TW, has 2 marks right here, TW. The thing with 2 marks here is 14. And finally, BF goes with the 1 mark. So ST goes with 1 mark. If you'll keep the letters corresponding, take your time, point to them with your pencil as you work. You have a much better chance of getting these right because they just follow the same order pattern. Okay, now I know that angle S, for example, angle S matches up with angle B. So if this is angle S, it matches up with this angle. So if S is 67, then B is 67. They match up. Corresponding parts of congruent triangles are congruent. The next one talks about W. W is this last letter, so it matches up with N. W matches up with N. So that must be 82. Now, how would I find that third angle? Well, it's going to be the thing that adds the 3 angles up to 180. So I'll look here on my calculator to get 82 plus 67. That's what I've got so far. So 180 minus 149 tells me that the angle that's left must be 31. That's this angle here is 31, which is also going to be this angle here, 31. Corresponding parts of congruent triangles are congruent. All right, so number 3, same idea, but now we start to get a little bit of algebraic expression. So we want to find the letters that fit in here, and then solve these particular equations. So first of all, if I look at the first two letters here, matches up with the first two letters here. UV goes with TS. So 12x minus 7 equals 53. Add 7 to each side. 12x equals 60. Divide by 12, x equals 5. Continuing, it says VW equals SR. So I'm just finding those corresponding parts. So VW is the same or is congruent to SR. Okay, fine. So that's VW 5y minus 33. Add 33 to each side. 90 equals 5y. So now divide by 5 on both sides, and I get that y is 18. Finally, the last part, I know that the first and third letter, UW, goes with TR. So 3z plus 14 equals 50. Subtract 14. 36 is 3z. Divide both sides by 3. Z is 12. And if I were asked to, I could plug numbers in to check these things, but I know that, for example, if this is 57, then this is 57. And so plugging numbers in would bear that out. You can do the same exact idea for angles. So angle P, let's use a different color here, angle P matches up with angle C. So angle P matches up with angle C, or 36 equals 4z minus 32. Add 32 to each side. 68 equals 4z. Divide both sides by 4. Z equals 17. Next one says H is congruent to N. So H is congruent to N. So 6x minus 29 is 115. So add 29 to each side. 6x equals 144. Divide both sides by 6, and I get x equals 24. And then finally, angle S is congruent to angle F. Now here's angle S. Here's angle F. It looks like I'm missing a part. What should I do here? All right, I got you. I know that this angle is 36. And since this one was 115, that matches up with this one being 115. So far, I've got 115 plus 36. That's 151. Subtracted from 180, that's 29 left, telling me this angle must be 29. So 29 must equal 3y minus 1. Add 1 to each side. 30 equals 3y. So y equals 10. This lesson will be in Schoology if you need to look at any parts of it again. But at this time, you should be set to work on your assignment.